Right now, I want to share something completely transformative. I started reading a book called Scientific Truths in the Quran, and as I flipped through the pages, I was utterly astonished. Even in the very first chapters, I found myself facing ideas that could reshape how we understand the universe, faith, and knowledge. I'll read some passages and reflect on them, and I promise you, these words are not ordinary, they can completely shift perspectives. The first verse that caught my attention is from Surah Al-Anbiya, 21:30. Have those who disbelieved not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joined entity, and we separated them? The Arabic word radk here is striking. In classical Arabic, it refers to something tightly woven, stitched together, or intertwined, like fabric whose threads are inseparable. Imagine, the heavens and the earth are described as one unified, interwoven entity. Then comes the word fataka, meaning we separated them, tore them apart, or split them. The verse portrays a dynamic movement, initial unity, sudden separation, and the creation of distinct structures. When we compare this with modern cosmology, the resemblance is staggering. Science tells us that the universe began as a singular, extremely dense point, everything packed together, which then expanded in the Big Bang. The Quran describes this same process, but in precise, poetic language, over 14 centuries ago, in a society without telescopes or laboratories. Next, Surah Adh-Dhariyat, 51:47, states, "And the heaven we constructed with might, and indeed we are expanding it." The phrase, "we are expanding it," carries a profound meaning. Arabs of the 7th century would have understood expansion in the sense of growth or increase. But the expansion mentioned here applies to the universe itself. Decades later, Edwin Hubble, 1929, discovered a fundamental law: distant galaxies recede from us. And the farther a galaxy, the faster it moves away. The universe is expanding continuously. Reading this verse today alongside Hubble's discovery is breathtaking, a concise and accurate description of a cosmic reality far beyond the understanding of people at that time. Another remarkable verse comes from Surah Fussilat, 41:11. Then he directed himself to the heaven while it was smoke. The word smoke here is far from metaphorical fluff. In Arabic, it conveys a dense, obscure substance, a cloud of gas and particles. Modern cosmology confirms that, in the early universe, after the Big Bang, there existed a dense gaseous state, primarily hydrogen and helium. Stars, galaxies, and planets emerged from this gaseous medium. Even top scientific journals like Science report that the universe, in its infancy, was dominated by such a gaseous fog, which gradually cleared, allowing stars and galaxies to form. The Quran captured this reality succinctly with the single word, smoke. What is astonishing is not merely the partial alignment between the words and modern science, but the profound semantic and conceptual accuracy that matches physical stages the universe underwent, stages only discovered through centuries of observation and advanced instruments. The text does not provide equations or experimental details, yet its wording allows contemporary readers to make sense of these cosmic truths. Let's consider another verse in Surah Hud 11:49. That is from the news of the unseen which we revealed to you, O Muhammad. You knew it not, nor did your people before this. This emphasizes that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not invent this knowledge. These are divine revelations. For anyone reading these verses today in light of modern discoveries, it is evident that the descriptions transcend their historical context. Pause and imagine, 1400 years ago, if you sat with a Bedouin in the desert and told them that the universe began as a single point and then expanded, and that the heavens were once a gaseous cloud, would they have understood or believed you? There was no concept of stars as gaseous bodies, no telescopes, no physics. Yet, these truths are embedded in the Quran, recited for centuries. The book I'm reading doesn't stop at linking science and the Quran, it delves into the spiritual implications. Knowledge alone is not enough, it must translate into awareness and faith. Realizing that these verses predate scientific discoveries by centuries instills a sense of awe and calls one toward submission to God, reconsidering one's lifestyle, habits, and what is perceived as natural. The author shares a personal reflection. Those who explore paths like Wicca, magic, energy work, or yoga often engage in practices that demand constant effort, rituals, energy manipulation, or attempts to reshape reality. While these may produce temporary experiences, they are not sustainable and cannot lead to true liberation. In contrast, Islam offers a different path. One does not impose their will upon the universe. Instead, one aligns with God's will. True freedom comes from transforming oneself internally, practicing patience, honesty, mercy, integrity, and moderation, while refraining from excessive indulgence. Practices like fasting serve to discipline desires, purify the soul, and foster spiritual ascent. This mirrors the teachings of Jesus: virtue, moral integrity, and spiritual elevation, rather than empty rituals. Muslims experience this daily through prayer, fasting, charity, and self-discipline. These are not mere traditions but tools to liberate the soul from attachment to fleeting worldly desires. Reflecting on this, I see modern pop culture and spiritual trends differently. Practices I once considered spiritual now appear superficial. Attempts to manipulate reality through fleeting pleasures or energies feel misaligned with true spiritual ascent. My perception has shifted irreversibly. In summary, the Quran describes the universe as initially joined, ratqa, then separated, fataka, mentions the heavens expanding, musiyun, describes the early universe as smoke, dukhan, confirms this as unseen knowledge, unknown to humanity at that time. These descriptions align with discoveries made centuries later. The lesson is clear. The Quran is not a physics textbook, but a guide to reflection. Its scientific signs awaken the mind and heart, encouraging humans to observe, think, compare, and ultimately submit. Science can uncover the universe, but the Quran offers insights to navigate both its mysteries and our inner selves. For me personally, reading these verses has changed my life. My awareness has expanded. Something profound has shifted in my consciousness, and I know it will not return to what it was. As I reflect on all these truths, I find myself facing a deeper question: what is the purpose of knowing these cosmic secrets? Knowledge alone is not the goal. It is the path it opens, a path leading to understanding ourselves, our place in the universe, and our relationship with the Creator. Every scientific discovery and every Quranic verse converge to remind us that we are part of a comprehensive system, a system governed by law, wisdom, and divine will. Recognizing this reality transforms our perception of everyday life. Every action, every word, every feeling becomes connected to something greater than fleeting desires or temporary pleasures. We are responsible for our minds, hearts, and deeds, and for the way we interact with the universe. This responsibility elevates life, giving worship, reflection, and contemplation a deeper purpose. From this perspective, acts like fasting, prayer, moderation in sensory indulgence, and conscious reflection on the cosmos are not merely rituals. They are tools to liberate the soul, refine the spirit, strengthen the will, and guide humans toward a balanced life in harmony with God's will. They are a way to rise above impulsive desires, allowing our lives to reflect virtue and meaning, rather than mere consumption or distraction. Moreover, this understanding bridges science and spirituality. Observing the universe, exploring its laws, and seeing how the Quran anticipated these realities cultivates awe, humility, and gratitude. It teaches that our quest for knowledge is a form of worship when it aligns with moral virtue and reflection. True ascension, therefore, does not come from manipulating external forces or chasing ephemeral experiences. It comes from self-discipline, ethical conduct, and submission to a higher will, aligning the human will with divine wisdom. In conclusion, the Quran invites us to contemplate, observe, and reflect on the universe, to see the signs of God in creation, and to recognize the potential for spiritual growth. The scientific insights are not merely coincidences, they are gateways to understanding the harmony between the material and the spiritual, between knowledge and faith. For me personally, reading these verses and connecting them with modern science has been transformative. My awareness has expanded, my perspective has shifted, and my sense of purpose has deepened. And I believe that anyone who truly engages with these truths, with an open heart and mind, will experience a profound shift, a lasting transformation in the way they see the universe.